You are a Khariji. You are a terrorist. Subhanallah. The amount of times I have been called these labels, I cannot count. Let's dive into the specific one. Khariji. Because the fact that non-Muslims call me a terrorist is something which I've been used since I became a Muslim. But the Khariji one is the one which must be explained. Because a lot of those people who are using the label Khariji have no idea what Khawarij is and what is their innovation and why are they wrong. There is a reason why Prophet Muhammad ﷺ has called them dogs of hell and why their blood is halal. So when you call me a Khariji, you say my blood is halal and you say that Muslim is allowed to unalive me. Subhanallah. Ali radiallahu anhu had a conflict with Muawiyah about how to treat the murderers of Uthman. That caused an outrage between them. There was conflict and the fight. And Ali radiallahu anhu accepted the request of Muawiyah to make arbitration, to go into conversations on how to deal with these murderers, with these people who assassinated Uthman radiallahu anhu. Subhanallah, Khawarij emerged from the army of Ali radiallahu anhu. They were angered because they saw Ali radiallahu anhu trying to create a judgment based on a man-made decision. When they see it that there is a clear-cut evidence from the Quran and the Sunnah how to deal with people like the murderers of Uthman. So how are you going into conversations with Muawiyah radiallahu anhu and try to abandon the Sharia of Allah and create a judgment when the judgment is already ready in the Quran and the Sunnah? Well, it sounds close to what we as a muwahideen are preaching, but it's not. Because the people who are so deeply brainwashed and use the label of Khariji without understanding what Khawarij is that they don't differentiate between Hukum and Tashri. The issue of Ali radiallahu anhu and Muawiyah radiallahu anhu was not a matter of Kufr Akbar. Even if we want to see it as they are abandoning the Sharia of Allah and making a judgment based on their own understanding or interpretation on their own desire, that is kufr duna kufr. Because this is not a legislation. This is not putting legislation above a nation, above people. This is a specific case with a specific ruling, individual issue. So the same way when you have a qadi who is, for example, to make a judgment in a specific case and he wants to benefit from it, or the person he is making a judgment upon is a person he knows and he does not want to put the person in such a big penalty as Allah has, for example, ordered in the Quran and the Sunnah, and he is creating his own judgments to put it on this specific person. Why is that not Kufr Akbar? Because it's a specific ruling, specific judgment in the individual case. This is hukum. This is not tashri. Tashri is legislation. It's two different things. The legislation which is done upon the people, so the person who creates a man-made law is obligating the nation to follow this law, is tashri and it's kufr akbar. But the ruling which is, or the judgment which is done in a specific case, and it's not obligatory put over the nation, it is not legislated upon the nation, it is a ruling judgment in a specific individual case. It's a kufr duna kufr. It is a minor kufr that not takes you out of Islam. So Ali radiallahu anhu did not leave Islam. Neither was Muawiyah radiallahu anhu. None of them left Islam. But the Khawarij didn't see it this way. It was a major sin. If so, it was not Kufr Akbar. But for Khawarij, the usul of Khawarij is clear, but unfortunately not for those who overuse this label. The usul of Khawarij is that anyone who commits a major sin is a kafir. You commit zina, you're a kafir. You commit kufr duna kufr, you're a kafir. You commit riba, you're a kafir. They takfir upon the major sins. The other usul of the Khawarij is that they do not believe that Iman can go low and up and down, that it can decrease or increase. They don't believe it. They believe you even have it or you don't have it. It's consistent and it cannot be stronger or weaker. The other usul is that if you fail to do any of the fard, any of the obligations, you are to be takfired. If a woman does not wear a hijab, she is not a Muslim in the eyes of Khawarij, because she is failing to do what's fard upon her. The other one is that anyone who is not with them and does not follow what they follow is not to be called Muslim. They are to be takfired. So anyone who goes with different ways of belief or different way of thinking, if it comes to the matters which I just spoke about, they are not to be called the Muslims in the eyes of the Khawarij. You have no idea what labels you're using and what you are talking about. We are not a Khawarij. We are Muwahideen. We are people who are speaking haq, which you cannot stand because you are the innovator. I'm so sorry. You have no jealousy for Islam. You would go and protect the honor and rights of your mother more than you are protecting honor and rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had said clearly in the Quran that He does not share the legislation, and legislation belongs just to Him. But the legislation with understanding of Tashri, so implementation of the legislation upon the people, making it legislation. We don't speak about the Hukum, we don't speak about individual judgment upon individual case. We speak about the whole law of the nation, of the Ummah. When someone legislates man-made law upon the people, that's Kufr Akbar. When someone is making a judgment upon the specific person or specific family or specific case or specific people, which is not from Quran and the Sunnah, it's kufr duna kufr, but it's not kufr akbar. This is what you don't understand. You use the labels you don't understand. You use the slurs you don't understand. And you are making halal blood of people whose blood is not halal. And it will be hauled against you in the day of Qiyamah. I promise you this. Because you have no idea what you talk about. And you have no idea what's Khawarij. But you use it, overuse it. And then you go and try to encourage others, subhanallah, to report to Tawhud, to authorities of Kuffar, Muslim, because you decided that this person is Khawarij. And I will surprise you, even though the Khawarij are deemed as innovators by a majority of the scholars of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, they are not to be takfired. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.